Hello everyone. Today it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to do my sharing online. First of all, I'm going to talk about applying for government funding. There are two kinds of funding. One is technology voucher program. One is remote business subsidy. And second, I'm going to talk about two platforms that you can use or you can hire people to use to create systems for you to help your business do online after COVID-19 resiliency, which in turn can qualify for government funding. And third, I'm going to also show you how I did this video using various tools. So you can use the same tools to do business remotely, to engage your customers, potential customers, and to be more resilient towards future upcoming social distancing regulations. The first one is the Technology Voucher Program, or TVP. In Chinese we call 4G and the document here is the one which is published by the Hong Kong government. They are agents that can help you apply for TVP. On the other hand, you actually do not need an agent to help you do it. You can do it completely yourself if you read the document carefully and apply to the guidelines. The important parts that you need to read before you apply, it's actually 1, 2, and 3. So in 1, it tells you who qualifies for the TVP program, and 2, it describes the area where you can get funding from the government, and 3 are the procedures. So let's take a look at number 1. So basically, any company that are registered in Hong Kong can qualify. That means that as long as you are doing business for real in Hong Kong, you are Hong Kong legitimate business, then you qualify for the technology voucher program. And of course, besides being registered in Hong Kong, you have to actually be doing business. So you can't have a company that has no staff, that has been here for like a number of time but with no activity. You can't qualify. So you have to show that you have business activity, and also you cannot be a listed company, and I think in this case then this is not going to be an issue. Number 4 here is actually quite important because the government has the right, the final decision to say yes or no to the program. So that actually is the reason why a lot of people ask for consultants, because they would know how you would qualify, and therefore they will avoid the situations where you can't qualify, and so it increases your chance of success. However, if you actually is a legitimate business, then actually there's nothing to worry about, because you are a real business, you're doing something real, and you apply for funding from the government to do something with technology. So as long as you are a real business, then you're nothing to worry about. The people that usually hire consultants are actually those who actually marginally qualify. So maybe they have a company who is not doing business, or maybe they want to do something which is not completely IT, but they want to get funding. But those are the gray areas. But bottom line is, if you are a real company, you do real business, and if you actually are or want to do something which is related to IT, then as long as you fall within the categories, then it is a good chance that you do not need a consultant and you can apply for yourself. So let's go to the scope of funding, so we can go through what are the areas. So here, number 1 is information technology consulting services. So if you need to improve your company's IT processes, infrastructure, software, tools, then you can hire consultancy services. So as long as you hire a qualified consultant, to do work for you, then you can apply for funding. And also, as long as your scope it's to improve your IT services. You cannot just hire anybody. You can't say, hey, I like this friend, he's going to be my IT consultant, he knows computer, and therefore I'm going to pay him like $100,000, like so that he can give me IT services. It doesn't work because actually, as much as we want to be honest, there are some people who want to take advantage of the situation. So for example, if me and you are different companies, then maybe I hire you as a consultant and you hire me as a consultant. Then as a result, then the government pays for both me and you, and we actually do nothing because we just talk to each other. So that doesn't work. So when you hire for a consulting company, it actually has to be qualified. So and of course, like I mentioned above, that the government has the final say on who is qualified and who is not qualified. So like we want to make sure that it is a legitimate, like professional consulting company who can really help you. And then, if the company is qualified, then applying for funding to pay for them, it's less of an issue. B in here shows that you could buy software. So it says the software has to be custom made. You can't just buy off the shelf software. You can't say, hey, I'm going to buy Photoshop because I want to touch up photos, and you're going to have the government pay for all your licenses. It doesn't work. So you have to want to do something which is not available as a packaged software. That means you can't just buy them. So you have to hire somebody to create something for you. That is actually good for the Hong Kong's economy, because you're paying for somebody who's creating something new. So the government pays for you to create software which is not available elsewhere, which means innovation. And you're also hiring a Hong Kong company to do that for you. So you benefit and Hong Kong benefit because the company is doing things for you. It's actually creating something new. So this is B. And for C, you could actually buy hardware required to improve your IT services. Hardware is different. It says you could buy or rent or custom order existing hardware equipment. And that means you can't say, hey, I'm going to create a new computer and I'm going to pay a lot of money for somebody to create a new computer for me. It doesn't work. So you have to for hardware, you got to buy something existing. For example, a scanner, a printer, a server, cell phones. Of course, you can't just buy yourself a top new cell phone, because it's not about improving business. You have to have a legitimate reason for it. And you could buy computers, you could buy laptops, you could buy antivirus software, and you could also buy custom services. And custom services are typically, cloud services, which means that you're actually renting a server on a month-to-month basis on a cloud service, so that you can provide online services to your customers and potential customers. And because the government wants you to make sure that you are actually doing innovation, which is part two, because you're doing custom software and consultancy, which is hiring Hong Kong people to do that. And the things that you buy should not exceed the whole budget's 50%. So you can pay half for equipment, for renting services on the cloud, but at least 50% of the money that you're going to apply for funding has to be spent on consultancy or for custom software services, which is not existing before. And then, of course, you would have to find the solution, and you would have to decide which ones to buy and what to do. And sometimes when you are not an IT professional, you may have to hire somebody professional to do that. the advantage of you hiring somebody independently to do that is because if you hire somebody who's going to sell you services, of course his interest by human nature is to charge you as much as possible and give you as little as possible so that you can make the most profit. Of course there are good people, not every people is good. Some people are not so good, and that applies to some people who are most interested in making the most money. For example, if I am not a good person, I could tell all of you, say, hey, apply for the TVP program, and then you're not paying, the government is paying, let them pay me, right? So and I'm going to quote you 100,000, I'm going to give you this, you're happy, and then I make money, and in the meantime I'm going to give you some kickbacks and that kind of stuff. Of course that's illegal, and that is the rest of the document is how the government prevents forgery. But assuming that we are fair, and assuming that all of us are good people and we wanted to really improve our IT services, 50% or less equipment and cloud services, and 50% or more would be professional services, consultancy, and custom software, and up to 3,000 you can pay for an independent consultant to help you choose. Because if you're not buying it from him, if you're just paying him 3,000 Hong Kong dollars to choose, then of course he's going to look at A, B, and C companies and is going to choose the right thing for you. So in here it says what kind of things will not be covered. So rent, salary, your own salary, not consultants, operating expenses, what you need to do, stuff in the day-to-day practices. It's interesting because you could buy computers to improve your operations in IT, but if you're just using computers for day-to-day activities such as accounting, you cannot ask to buy an accounting computer. So that's when things gets a little bit of in the gray area. So again, assuming that you're honest, you're trying to improve your IT infrastructure, then you're going to be okay. Consultants are mostly, actually consultants not in this sense, because this specifies you can hire an IT consultant, but some people who are consultants to helping you get the most out of the government. So that consultant, it's not needed if you are honest and you just want to improve your IT services. So you can pay for marketing expenses, you can't pay for non-IT related, you cannot pay for insurance, like a warranty, repairs, you cannot pay for hotel and travel fees, you cannot pay for interest, and you cannot pay administrative fees. You can only pay for technology expertise fees, not administrative fees. So this is it about TVP or Technology Voucher Program for now. There are a lot of details. Please read the documentation. And the next I'm going to talk about D-BIZ. So D-BIZ is distance business, and it's a little bit different because it is mainly used to subsidize on doing business remotely. So TVP is actually before the coronavirus impact. So the Hong Kong government wants to subsidize small medium enterprises in Hong Kong to improve the technology program. So that was before the coronavirus hit. So as the coronavirus hit, the Hong Kong government it's offering more subsidy to people who are affected by the coronavirus. Actually, so the recovery resiliency program that the Hong Kong government is doing is actually the D-BIZ or the remote or the distance business program, and it's very similar, and it's actually easier to apply, and therefore a lot of companies apply for it. the advantage is that it is easier to apply. The disadvantage is that actually a lot of people are applying, and actually the government is having a backlog in the approval process, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And keep in mind that the official website for the D-BIZ program is Hong Kong Productivity Council, HKPC. So this document is the official document. There are other websites that tries to look legitimate and look official, and they offer seminars. They are actually consultants, as I mentioned about, and those are not official. And whereas you could hire a consultant, and I stress again, if you are a legitimate business, you are actually trying to do something, you apply for government funding, you do not need a consultant, because of course they charge you. You apply for funding, and then they before you can do anything, they have to charge you a fee, right? And of course, I already mentioned before in the TVP program that the government does not pay for administrative fees. It only pays for consultants. So while the consultants, they say that you don't pay, the government pays, and you only pay the consultant when the government pays you money. It is not true, because it is going through the gray area, so that you apply for the funding, and they tell you the tricks that you can do to take part of the money that you should be paying the technical consultant, and you direct in the gray area a part of the fees to these consultants. So be careful. And the official site here is the Hong Kong Productivity Council, and this is the document. So in here, it is actually the same. You can see the format is very, very similar to the other one, because these are both official documentation here. And number one is the qualifications. Number two is the scope. And then of course the third thing is the time and then the amount. And number four, the fourth one is the procedures that you have to do to get the funding. And of course, the rest of the stuff, I'm not saying that is unimportant. The rest of the stuff is to make sure that the government only gives money to the people who really needs it, not to the people who are skilled at applications. Yeah, because there would be a lot of people who are skilled with applications that would try to get the money from the government as subsidy, but actually they don't need it. They just want money in their pocket, right? So in order to save the most of the money to the people like you guys who really need it, the government has procedures that ensure the fairness of all of these processes, and those are the rest of the documentation. And the most important stuff is, of course, how you qualify, and what is the scope and the procedures in here. So this is the first part, which is the qualifications. As long as you are basically registered before the coronavirus issue, then you're qualified. So you can be a brand new company, and if you open it, and even if you hadn't done any business, as long as you register the company before the coronavirus issue happened, you are a victim. The government wants to help you with that, help you to do your business remotely. Of course, you cannot be a listed company and other things like a non-profit organization getting government subsidy. So you're already subsidized by the government, then you cannot apply for more funding. So that's pretty simple. It's actually so that's why the barrier of entry is lower than that of the TVP program. So looking, of course, you have to have a legitimate business, and of course, the government would have final say of whether or not you are a legitimate business or not. So it might ask you for more information to confirm during the process. And if they believe that you are a shell company that are just registered, which is not actually doing any business, then they can decide not to fund you. And of course, if you're a legitimate business, then nothing to worry about. And of course, those are other regulations, because you can't just randomly have a number of companies each paying, the government paying for all your stuff. So there are some limitations to make sure that the funding is evenly distributed. Right, again, final rights belong to the government. So there are actually 12 areas, which I'm going to get to in a minute, because this is specifically geared towards resiliency. So you can't say that, oh, I want to improve my operations. I want to create a custom software for internal use that is not part of the D-BIZ program. That can belong to the TVP, however, because TVP is about more general improvement of IT operations, and the D-BIZ is all about coronavirus resiliency. So there are 12 categories in here, which I'm going to go to in a minute. And of course, you would have to hire a legitimate service provider. Before the government has a certification process, so companies would have to be registered and approved by the government before it is qualified to be a vendor of the D-BIZ program. I'm not too sure what is the case right now. I think the government might have waived that application, because everybody's trying to be a provider, and that actually burned a lot of the government resources. And as I mentioned before, the D-BIZ program is actually backlogged. A lot of people are applying for that. Of course, the government is paying a lot of money to the company, but because of the administrative backlog, some of the requirements, such as you have to find a company who is a certified D-BIZ vendor. I think that one might have to be lifted, but check to be sure. I'm not too sure if this is the real case. So things have been changing, and this is almost brand new, and it is taking applications in here now. So again, the scope is that you can buy hardware and custom software. And again, custom software, if they encourage you to do something which is not readily available. But however, this one is not about innovation. This one is about resiliency. So this one also allows you to purchase some software which is already made. So this is a little bit different. TVP, you have to innovate, and this D-BIZ program, as long as you're doing that to be resilient towards coronavirus, then you can buy something off the shelf. And again, you could buy equipment, and you can rent servers and things like that. But the subsidy period is only 6 months, because also TVP is about improving your business perpetually. That was before the coronavirus. This one is specific to coronavirus resiliency, and so if they're paying for something on month-to-month basis, then the maximum period is going to be 6 months after the budget is approved. And you can apply for training funds, and the training funds will not be more than 10%. And again, you can hire somebody professional to help you choose which vendor. And in this case, then the maximum amount of fees for somebody to help you choose the D-BIZ vendor is not going to be more than $3,000. So this one is towards the bottom of the document. It has the 10 categories for qualification into the D-BIZ program. And I'm just going to go through this very briefly, and for details you actually need to read the document. First, it's doing business online. So you could, for example, create like a social media platform. You could make a subscription platform. You could do a web platform. You can't just say do a website, because the website is static. It doesn't allow you to interact with customers. But as long as you're doing like a web application that allows you to engage with customers, then it can be qualified as item number one. And the same thing applies to the rest of the items. You have to engage with your people, and you have to engage with the people digitally. So in here, you cannot say, oh, I'm going to engage with the people digitally, so I'm going to hire people to shoot a movie for me so that I can post it on YouTube to get more business. No, because that's number one, that's not engagement. And number two, that's not actually using technology. Yeah, it uses a paid platform, which is technology, but it has nothing to do about you and technology. So you cannot just pay for advertising, even if it is going to be placed on digital platform. You have to create your own digital platform for doing business and engaging your customers and potential customers digitally. And of course, in here you can say self-help system and online ordering and delivery system. So that helps you fulfill your customers' needs. So first one is engage, and number two is fulfill. If you are delivering, then you're fulfilling. And if you have a system that helps you take orders, it helps you do remote business more efficiently, and helps you fulfill more efficiently. So that's number two. And of course, services. Like number three, for example, if you are a company who sells products and services which is more technically oriented in the future, which requires training, then you can have like an online training platform. You can have like a social media platform that can disperse your training information. But again, it does not include fees for promotion, because that's actually done by people, not done by the platform. And digital experience upgrade. So of course, if you're engaging people, of course you can use text, you can use simple pictures. And let's say if you want to use like video conferencing technology, like what I'm doing with you guys right now, invest in platforms and tools and training for you to engage people with video, with AR, virtual reality, augmented reality, that kind of stuff. It's just an example. So you could have something which is not in here, and you can apply for it. And as long as it is the same principle, you are upgrading your digital experience for your customers and potential customers, then you can qualify for it. And of course, payment. You can have payment systems, you can have payment gateways and payment hardware, and it does not include paying for service fees. Only equipment and software and platform required for you to do payment. And of course, like a financial management, managing your bills, managing your invoices, that helps you engage with your customers and potential customers digitally. And human resources management system, because coronavirus, your staff might have to work from home, and for you to better manage your remote staff to work from home, and also for you to grow your business. As we all know, during the coronavirus period, Hong Kong is under a difficult time, and a lot of people lost their jobs. So if you are a business, and if you can grow your business, and if you can hire people to work from home, it is a good thing for the Hong Kong government and for Hong Kong also. So the Hong Kong government wants to pay your bill if you are creating a human resource system that helps you manage your team more efficiently. And therefore, when you grow your business, then you allow more people to work from home, and you can help more people who lost their jobs, and the government would like to pay your bill for it. And of course, document management system, video conferencing systems, such as what we're doing right now. Of course, I'm making a video, but the video is delivered using Zoom in here. So if you are paying for video conferencing equipment, and again, there's some details, like that. There's things that they pay for, there are things that they cannot pay for. Uh, Virtual team management and communication, because you're not only managing your staff with the payroll and work and things like that, you're gonna have to communicate with them efficiently. So that's why, like a team management software, it will pay for it. And cybersecurity, of course, if you are not careful, you can leak all your customers' information. So cybersecurity, protecting your customers' privacy and protecting your own assets if you put it online, is also something that is under the subsidy budget. And of course, there are some custom software, and again, the D-BIZ program allow you to buy both custom software and existing software, because it is for resiliency. And that might be some automation program, could be like a ERP program that can help you do all sorts of stuff, including compliance, including procedures and billing and that kind of stuff. So the procedures, I'm not going to talk about it, so you would need to read the document. And again, you don't need non-technical consultant. All you need to do is to read the documentation and understand it, and have a friend who are good in reading and understanding documents, understand it. And it is pretty well said what is allowed and which is not allowed. And so the concepts are already mentioned. And TVP is about improving your business using technology, and D-BIZ is about resiliency after coronavirus. So think about the real reason the government wants to help you with funding, and as long as you are doing what the Hong Kong government wants to help you to do, then I think there is no issue at all for applying for that funding.